Visibility volume 20%.
Good afternoon, and welcome to More Than Meets the Eye. I am your host, Blind Prime. For today, I have for you Transformers War for Cybertron Earthrise Snapdragon in his jet mode. If you're watching this, please like, subscribe, share, do all the other things with my video. And please subscribe. Trying to raise awareness for the blind here, and can't do it without your help. So, for Halloween, I decided that it would be a good time to show off the horror cons. We've already done the 8-Face trilogy of discussing his robot mode, his vehicle mode, and his monster mode. Now we will discuss Snapdragon in his trilogy. Today is the second part. Today we will be discussing his, I think it's the SR-71 Blackbird or CR-71 Blackbird. Anyway, it's the Blackbird. It's one of the fastest jets that we have ever created. It was designed to be a spy jet. It's not an exact copy of it. It's pretty close, though. I think it would be a lot better if it was a bit longer and had a bit more on the edges. It would definitely look 100% like a Blackbird. But seeing as Blackbird was one of my favorite planes that was ever created, next to the actually F-18 Raptor is pretty amazing too. I decided that I appreciate this mode the best. This is out of all three of the modes. Oh, the wing got a little messed up there. Out of all three of the modes, this one is the one that you buy Snapdragon for. It's a good mode. They sacrificed parts of the robot mode and parts of the dragon mode, the monster mode, in order to ensure that this vehicle mode is top-notch. This vehicle mode also has the added bonus of having a lot of siege ports for an Earthrise. So first off, it's got a landing wheel on the very front of the vehicle. You can move it up and down so you can store the landing gear or not. I haven't found any landing gear in the back. I assume the weapons are supposed to be the landing gear, so I put them down here in the two siege ports that are on the underside. The siege ports, if you watched my robot More Than Meets the Eye episode on him, these are the same ports that were on the front of his chest. There is also a siege port under each of his wings, his little wings that stick off to the sides. So that's 4 siege ports just on the underside of this guy. It's pretty nice. Not as many as Skytread in his plane mode, which is surprising. But then again, Skytread's jet mode, his jet half, it just has an insane number of siege ports for the size. Alright, we're done with the underside. I mean, there's good texturing. This is one of the few jets that looks just as good on the underside as it does on the top, in my opinion. I can feel that this definitely feels like a jet. I mean, for all I know, the colors are completely different, but for the most part, it feels like the underside of a jet, which is really cool. Rarely does the, especially during Earthrise, they didn't really focus so much on the undersides, and this is nice. I appreciate this where you flip it upside down and you don't see all that robot kibble with your hands. Honestly speaking, there is very little robot kibble in this. The fists, which I mentioned in the previous video, I wished would, spin inside the engine or something. Those are the only bits of robot kibble that can be seen. He, of course, has a cockpit for his headmaster. Guy turns into his faces. The cockpit can be... this is cool. So, unlike the 8-Face cockpit, which honestly was a POS, where you had, in the jet mode, you put something over it, so you couldn't even get at the item inside. And it's like, how are these guys supposed to get in and out of these cockpits, And I decided to, not decided, but when I got Snapdragon, I appreciated his cockpit so much better. It splits in half down the middle. One side is on one leg, and another side is on the other leg, because both of his legs combine to create the front of the jet. And it's really well engineered so that these cockpit pieces are just kind of there. But when you make him into jet mode, they come together so nicely to be a fully functional cockpit, just one that opens very uniquely. I like the way this cockpit opens. I wish more cockpits had this type of opening scheme to them, because I just think it's neat. I mean, it's not very practical, but it looks cool. And then you can go in there and get your little headmaster out. He's just kind of chilling in there. He rattles around. He just kind of sits in there. That's pretty nice. The cockpit on this thing is top notch. That's pretty cool. The wings I wish were a bit larger, and also could like do more. You know, to hide in robot mode. It's the kibble is obvious in robot mode. You've seen that in the previous video. But for the most part, these guys have this is the best mode out of the three. This is one of the best modes in the entirety of Earthrise. It's pretty darn good. And it's not a difficult transformation to get there, as you will see in the Blindformers episode. So this thing gets top knots from me as a jet mode that is very nice. And you know, you want to hang jet modes up from your ceiling, which means that if you have vision, you will be looking up at them, you know, at the underside of them. So don't you want the underside of your jet to look nice? And I appreciate Hasbro for doing this with this. Like, the Tetra Jets looked really cool, but their underside could have looked better, as we saw with the Studio Series Tetra Jet. And they did make the underside of that one look so much better. And that one was actually funny in that they sacrificed its ability to sit on a stand for its ability to hang from a ceiling. It's like, Hasbro, can't you just do both? Now, this guy is the show that they can do both. And I want to show you also a little trick before we let you go. You can take a figure stand, like I got one right here, and the port that the Transformer's head, the headmaster, plugs into, is just large enough to plug this thing in. And then you can focus it. I don't think it works too well. As I'm showing you, it keeps falling out, but you know, that's an option. Use some sticky tack or something if you really want to pose this. I haven't been able to find too many other ports of entry. I mean, I could remove one of the guns to show you. I think that's all. It's not much to say about this guy. I like him, and I say that out of all three modes, this is the best. So, until next Prime, where we will discuss the Monster Mode, aka the Horror Con Mode. Ooh. I hope you've enjoyed watching this episode of More Than Meets the Eye, and I hope you've enjoyed that this episode has happened with Spookysound. Yes, Spookysound. You know, like South Park with their spooky vision, but, you know, it's blind, so it's now Spookysound. There you go. Peace.